Right now, we just don't have enough coronavirus tests, gowns, masks. But most importantly, we don't have enough ventilators for the people who get really sick. I think we need to do everything in our power to make more. Otherwise, this pandemic gets a lot more lethal. Which brings me to ResMed. That's a medical technology company focused on respiratory disorders. In the past, they've been synonymous with sleep apnea machines. But ResMed also makes ventilators, and management says they're looking to double or even triple production. Plus, we might be able to retrofit their other machines into makeshift ventilators. It's huge. So let's take a closer look with Mick Farrell. He's the CEO of ResMed to learn more about how his company can help fight COVID-19. He's got a terrific company. I'm well familiar with it. Mr. Farrell, welcome back to Mad Money.
Jim, it's great to be back. I wish it was under better circumstances, but happy to talk about the COVID-19 emergency and how ResMed is here to help.
Well, you have put a number of your people, there's a ResMed statement about COVID-19, 7,500 ResMedians are working in 140 countries. I mean, that's incredible. You've really made it a task force. It's a mission for you.
It is, Jim. We have a global COVID-19 task force. We meet every day. We have a global meeting twice weekly where we have people from Europe, from Asia and Americas all getting together. We've been on this for 90 days. We were there in Wuhan, in Hubei province, China, 90 days ago, ramping up our manufacturing from Shanghai province over to Wuhan, and we followed it through China. We saw the crisis go through Asia, and we ramped up our Singapore manufacturing plant. We've now seen Europe ramp up, and now the United States, particularly New York, California, Washington, and Michigan, and we're ramping up our Sydney, Singapore plants to maximum capacity. We're going to double, triple, or more our non-invasive ventilators, invasive ventilators, and do more than 10 times the volumes of our ventilation masks and tubing and accessories to take care of COVID-19 patients so that we keep them breathing while their own immune systems fight the disease.
So what is, when we're speaking about doubling and triple, what is the base? How many are we talking about?
Well, Jim, we are the number one provider globally of CPAP manufacturing. Mm-hmm. We are number one or number two globally in non-invasive ventilation manufacturing. If you include all ventilators, we're in the top 3 or top 5 in all 140 countries. Last year, we made 14 million masks, full mask systems. We made more than 2.5 million flow generator systems, including CPAPs, non-invasive ventilators, and invasive ventilators. If you break it down to just the ventilators, we made tens of thousands of ventilators last year in 2019. We're going to do double that and triple that. And we're going here in real time, ramping up our Singapore plant, our Sydney plant. We're shipping to Italy, all across Western Europe. And I was on the phone with FEMA last week, and a great colonel in the US Army, I'd call that group at FEMA sort of like the General Schwarzkopf of this war on COVID-19. And we are getting products to FEMA, but also directly to New York hospitals in California, and to healthcare systems and to states and cities, Jim.
Okay, I want to understand the difference between what the CPAP machines can do and the ventilation machines can do and the bilateral respiratory devices, because there's some confusion. I understand that the CPAP can be converted and that all of these can actually be lifesavers.
Jim, there's a lot of relationships between the different type of ventilators. Let me break it down for you. There's the highest end ventilators, which are the invasive ventilators. These are used in the critical care unit, the CCU, the ICU, and step-down wards. And then there are non-invasive ventilators, and then there are bi-level ventilators. And if you think of CPAP, CPAP is kind of like the chassis of a car. And, you know, it's kind of like a 4-cylinder car, but we can put a V8 engine in it with extra motor power, extra software, extra sensors to ramp it up to become a non-invasive ventilator. And we can ramp up the production of those bi-level ventilators and those non-invasive ventilators by 10x and beyond what we've got. So we've got almost unlimited capacity to meet the needs on final manufacturing. People keep talking in the media about a ventilation manufacturing problem. It's not a final ventilator manufacturing problem. It's a parts problem. We have over 500 parts going into these advanced sort of V8 level invasive ventilators and non-invasive ventilators. And as people come to help, we tell them, don't buy the parts that we can use to make these at scale. Help us make the parts. And when we get genuine offers from automotive companies, aerospace companies, and defense companies, and we've had hundreds of offers, we say, fantastic. Don't make a ventilator and buy these parts. make these 10 parts for us and let us scale, which we can, between us and our competitors to meet the demands of COVID-19.
Gotcha. Now, have you been in contact with the legendary Elon Musk, who I know our own Phil LeBeau is saying Tesla deserves some credit for coming through, but at the same time, there are complainers who say, listen, all that he really is shipping not ventilators, but CPAPs. I find it to quibble. Anybody who gives anything is okay with me, but I do want to try to get your definition of what he's doing.
Yeah, Jim, look, my take on that, and we've had offers from Tesla, from many other automotive manufacturers, from some of the biggest aerospace companies in the world and defense companies who can help with O-rings and screens and screws. Look, Tesla can help us with lithium-ion batteries. That's an area that we might be rate limited in. I think it's great what Elon did. He went up and bought, what I would call bi-level, non-invasive ventilators from a platform of ours from 5 years ago from Asia and brought 1,000 of them over to New York. All that help, that's help with logistics. That's fantastic. If there's product out there and you can move it for us, that's fantastic. We're ramping our plant up double, triple, and 10 times on the masks. And what we need help with is a couple of components, some shipping, and some opportunities to work directly with these hospitals and states so that we can get our products to the front lines, to the frontline heroes, those respiratory therapists, those respiratory nurses, pulmonary and critical care physicians. Those people are the frontline heroes. These ventilators don't run themselves. We can make them, but now we need the people to set them up there in that ICU, CCU, and that whole ward devoted to COVID-19. Let's get them PPE, and let's have a whole ward devoted to non-invasive ventilation in hospitals across New York and around the country.
I need one last question. Governor Cuomo today said that only about 20% of the people who are on ventilators live. That's not, I think that's too low. You know these things. Is that too low?
Look, the data on this are moving on a day-by-day basis, and we've seen different stuff out of China, Italy, and the US. The survival rate is tough when you get onto a critical care ventilator because by that time you've got a lot of fluid buildup in your lungs. But if we catch you early on a non-invasive ventilator or early enough on an invasive ventilator, survival rates can improve.
Got it. Mick Farrell, thank you for everything you're doing. You didn't even get to talk about your main product that everybody loves, that you're taking share and taking names. And we've loved your stock, as you know, ever since you were on and then before that. That's ResMed, RMD, doing the right thing. And by the way, what a fabulous company. Mad Money's back after the break.
Don't miss a second of Mad Money. Follow @Jim Cramer on Twitter. Have a question? Tweet Cramer. #MadTweets. Send Jim an email to madmoney@cnbc.com or give us a call at 1-800-743-CNBC. Miss something? Head to madmoney.cnbc.com.